this is the realistic side of finding out your child's got leukemia. Do not take life for granted.
For those who don't know us, this is me, Scott. This is my wife, Katie, and this is our son, Super Ted. We are the Bridge family, trying to get the most out of this rat race we all call life. On the 24th of February 2023, our whole world got turned upside down when we got told our 9-month-old son had been diagnosed with high-risk Aml Leukaemia. For anyone that doesn't know what that stands for, it's acute myeloid leukemia, which is a type of blood cancer. Yes, I said it. Cancer. As you can imagine, life froze. Every parent's worst nightmare was happening right in front of our eyes. With childhood cancer happening more and more frequently across the world, we decided to document our journey from start to finish to raise awareness and give cancer within children the exposure it deserves. We hope these videos give people a raw, detailed insight into what's involved, the treatment, the day-to-day hospital life, the emotions that come with having a child with cancer. So ladies and gentlemen, buckle up as we take you along on this whirlwind of a journey to save our son's life. And remember, live for today, as tomorrow is never promised. So if you're interested in following our journey, don't forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you can stick with us on this battle against cancer.
Mood on camp, pretty lethargic, pretty flat. Bag full of wet washing because the BMT dryers doesn't work. So yeah, all in all, pretty average day. This gives you an understanding of every hour of waking up like this, covered in shit. It's awful, bless him, but time to change another nappy. Teddy's bum and nappy area is so bad that like he's pooing every 10 minutes. And all through the day, we're probably well into our 20s nappies now, and it's full of just water. So, which obviously him sitting in a nappy is just making him so sore, and yeah, it's awful to see. So I just changed one there. He was asleep. It woke him up, and I had no choice but to put him in a bath. So we're having a bath at 3:30, which is lovely, and he's happy. So just going to soothe him in the bath, let all the poo soak off rather than keep wiping it, and yeah, then I'm just gonna let him sit on a towel for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Just let him air the area rather than just captivate it in this messy nappy. But sounds like a good plan. Hey, Cubby. Just kind of update as well. There isn't a huge amount to kind of progress on from where we were yesterday. I'm not doing a second ultrasound because clinically he's not presenting overly badly. He's not sore around the stomach area. We're just kind of sitting tight until the blood cultures to give them the 48 hours to try and potentially grow something. We hope that nothing will grow, but we've just got to ride it out. The chances are, we haven't been told this, but the chances are we won't be going home Monday, and I'm okay with that because I'd rather be up here until we're absolutely happy that he's not going to go home and end up with worse problems than we have currently got. So we are here till not cure, but we're here till we are happy to leave, and they are happy for us to leave, and we can go home and enjoy our home time rather than just go from one hospital to another. Like, we need to be at Gosh if we're going to be in hospital. All the time we're spiking fevers and potentially got infections and stuff, then we are staying here. It'll just make going home a little bit sweeter when it finally does happen. Hey, Teds, but no. But yeah, for now we're going to continue with bath time and then go and relax on a towel with our genitalia out. Sometimes I even impress myself. Look at that for makeshift tablet holder. I stood there holding it for about 5 minutes, my arm started out, and I was like, there's got to be a way. Nothing, a bit of tape on hand, but hey, he's happy, I'm happy, and now I can clear off all the Cheerios he's just lobbed across the room. Fantastic. This is the life, Ted's in it. Laying on bed with your knackers out, letting them dry. As Dad made a makeshift hanging washing line for your tablet.
What a life, my boy.
Good evening. Finally back at Paul's house now. Yeah, today was really tough. It was tough to see Teddy. Do you know, I genuinely believe he was the most ill I've seen him look since the start of chemo 1. Like, his eyes are drawn back in. He's pale. If he's had 30 nappy changes today, it would not be anywhere near a lie. It is ridiculous. In the end, we usually bath around about 4:30. At 3:30, he was asleep, and I heard him do a poo, and so I got off the bed, went to look. He was covered, absolutely covered. Took his nappy off. His nappy area is so red and raw, and he just screamed because obviously the liquid that's coming out of his bottom is just so acidic, and it's just getting straight into all his kind of sore bits. And I just literally just ran in the bath and just plonked him in the bath and just let him just sit and just soak. Didn't even wipe his bum, can't even bring myself to put him through pain. So I let him soak for about 20 minutes, and then we sat there completely airing that area in towels, and he proceeded just to poo and poo and poo and poo. And we spoke to the doctors, and they don't do such things like Imodium for children. Like, the best they can give him is either increase the fluids to replace the fluids he's losing, or diurolite. So either way, there's nothing that can stop the flow of what's coming out. We just need to flush this virus out. But he's drinking so much, so hopefully the water that he's consuming is just coming straight out, and it will just drag this virus out with it. Pretty disheartening, because this is meant to be my last night in Paul's house, and then we're meant to be going home on Monday, but it's not going to happen now. I don't think. We're very much here to see out whatever's going on with Teddy, but that is what we've come here to do. It's not about getting home for us now. Like, as much as the want to be at home with Willow and just to rebuild our life and be a family again is astronomical, we set out on this journey for one reason, and that one reason is to make our son better. So if he is not well enough to go home, then we don't leave. Like, it's not an option. So yeah, the journey will continue, but for now I'm absolutely exhausted, running off like 1-2 hours sleep or whatever I got last night with Ted's. So I'm going to do a bit of editing and then get my head down for an early night so I can be as good as I can be for him tomorrow. And because it's taxing, being in 4 walls with a crying, upset baby all day is really tough, especially seeing him like that as well. So sleep is imperative. That is another day done, and tomorrow is Sunday, and yeah, we carry on pushing. Come on, Teddy B, the end is near, my boy.
Good morning, happy Sunday. It's really hard to not feel disheartened this morning, because I should be walking to Gosh with a spring on my step, knowing that tonight was going to be the last night and I was going to bring that last night home with Ted's. But the fact that he's taken this back step with whatever he's got going on is really tough, really, really tough. We carry on going, we keep our head up and we keep pushing on. So I'm just off to the hospital now. It sounds like Kate had another really, really tough night with Ted's up throughout the night. They had to put him on IV fluids because of the fact that he's been pooing so much. So, but we've been asking for them all day yesterday, and they said, oh no, it's fine, just keep flushing him with water. And lo and behold, he's dehydrated. He had a 20-hour gap between his spiking temperatures, which is an improvement from last time, because the last spike was 12 hours. So he spiked last night at 39. And so obviously went back on paracetamol and got that temperature under control, which is good. Hopefully the distance between his spikes keeps on getting longer, and then hopefully he will be able to do 24 hours without a spike and 48 hours and so on, and then inevitably won't spike. That's the thought process. But yeah, it doesn't look like we'll be going home tomorrow, but it is what it is. Another bump in the road. But for now, I'm just going to head straight back to hospital and relieve Kate. I'm pretty sure she's knackered, to say the least. So it's my turn to be knackered and to step up to that plate. So me and you, Teddy, let's go.
weird when you bump to doctors in the lifts or in the hallways who have given you bad news in the past. It's just gives me the heebie-jeebies massively. Here we go, another day on Foxboard. That's not good, I can already hear him crying before I get into the room. Oh wow.
Slice of toast for Ted's and a coffee for Kate. Let's go. With a coffee now in the system, it was time to do a debrief on how our previous night went. This is something we always do when we meet back in the hospital in the morning.
So our angel of a nurse, Kat, has just come up with another brilliant idea to try and help his bottom out. I'm not going to show you the other end, but we've got an oxygen mask just blowing oxygenated air on his nappy area, and it's genius. That's what we want it to do, is dry out, because unfortunately it's constantly being kept wet and in acidic poo in his nappy, so fingers crossed. This is going to be what helps us out.
We had some advice from a fellow oncology parent that had been through a very similar situation with their child. Organic blueberry powder is a really good antioxidant and great for the immune system. So we did our research, ordered some and mixed it with some sterile water and pushed it through his NG tube in the hope that it helps him out in some way possible. We knew what the signs of Gvhd were: sickness, diarrhea, temperature spikes and skin rash. With Teddy already spiking a fever, having severe diarrhea, and now the skin rash was starting to present itself. Adding each piece to the puzzle, this looked like Gvhd in full swing. As a reminder, Gvhd stands for graft versus host disease, which is where Teddy's new graft cells fight against Teddy's old cells. We need this to happen so Teddy's new cells override and kill off any of Teddy's old bad cells. If this didn't happen, Teddy's old cells could gain back control over his body and there is more chance of relapse and the cancer to come back. Due to the severe volume of Teddy's diarrhea, they had no choice but to keep him on fluids to try and replace what he was losing. Also, due to the amount of electrolytes Teddy had lost through diarrhea, Teddy's potassium levels were dangerously low and needed a correction.
So when given a potassium correction over IV for 3 hours, he needs to be attached to heart rate sensors. He's got little pads all over him. You have to monitor him whilst it all goes in.
The nurses were monitoring all his levels frequently, as severe dehydration can be fatal. Teddy was sleeping a hell of a lot, which is another screaming sign that Teddy's body was struggling.
Today's one of the hardest days, I think, because not a lot's happened, but it's just so exhausting sitting there just watching him sleep and be so ill. And when he sleeps, we sit there in silence so we don't wake him, and as and when people come in, you just get annoyed at them because they're coming in just crashing bins and talking really loudly and whatever, and it's just all very overwhelming. Not where we saw ourselves today, we're meant to be leaving tomorrow, and I feel exhausted, absolutely exhausted, but I haven't even done the night yet, which is worrying, but I'm sure I'll push through. But something to remember is the fact that whatever we're feeling is absolutely nothing in comparison to what he's feeling. So we need to park our feelings and make sure we're there as best as we can for him, because he's the one that's battling it. We're just battling tiredness and emotion, whereas he's the one in physical pain and discomfort. So it's just important that we remember that and just keep reminding ourselves of that. And don't worry about the fact that we're meant to be going home tomorrow, because it's time, isn't it? We can go home in a week's time, month's time, whatever. It's important that we go home when he's right to go home. It just doesn't stop it becoming very overwhelming and long-winded. But hopefully tomorrow's a bad day. Teddy's up to his antics again. Last time it was a pot of sweetness he's taken to bed, but today it's a small bottle of water. Always got to take a passing gift to bed. Stay hydrated, kids.
Just got back to Paul's house. Bittersweet, because tonight I was supposed to come back and pack everything up, ready to make way home tomorrow. Ring that bell and get Teddy out of Great Ormond Street Hospital. But no, he had a really bad night last night in terms of nurses in and out and doing all these checks on him, and basically it turns out he's really dehydrated, which we could have told the doctors and nurses that was going to happen, because he has been really bad diarrhea for the last few days, so it was inevitable, the poor boy. But it seems to be that they only act on something when it's almost too late and they have to fix something rather than prevent it, which has infuriated me today. He has literally been asleep all day, with the exception of waking up during nappy changes for a little bit of water, a bit of a cry and a cuddle, and then back to sleep. He just looks really sad. Yeah, he's had a potassium correction, which is one of the electrolytes affected by being dehydrated. And he's on IV fluids, and that will continue through the night, so hopefully he will feel a little bit better tomorrow. But yeah, he's lost best part of 800 grams in 24 hours, which is ridiculous for someone his size. Nearly 10% of his body weight, which is, yes, far too much. So let's hope the fluids help pick that back up again. A couple of good bits of news, as we have to hold on to those. Nobody seems to be concerned about the Gvhd liver disease anymore, apart from the ultrasound maybe showing up something that could look like Gvhd. There is absolutely no other clinical symptoms of it, so although they would never rule it out completely, it's highly unlikely, which is hugely positive for us, because that can be quite scary and dangerous. And his platelets, they implemented quite well and went up to 70, then they dropped the next day to 34. We half expected them to drop again overnight and this morning, but actually they came up to 39, so that's hugely positive news in terms of platelets, because that's one of the things that we needed to get hold of before we could go home. We needed him to be able to hang on to those. Last fever spike was at 4 o'clock this morning, but he went about 20 hours between that one and the one before, so we'll see what happens tonight. Sometimes when fevers come and go, they will get closer together and further apart. We need to see them getting further apart, and actually usually once you're 24 hours post fever, the chances of it coming again for the same reason are quite slim. So a 24 hour without fever is quite a big milestone. Let's hope and pray that he wakes up tomorrow having not had another fever, having been topped up through the night with fluids and a blooming good night's sleep, and hopefully he's feeling a little bit better.
In the last 45 minutes, I've done 4 nappies. Bless his heart. In other news, I changed the batteries on our lights and it looks a lot better. Christmassy vibes. But yeah, it's going to be one seriously long night, I think. But we got to do what we got to do. That has got to be one of the longest nights ever. From 6 till about 4:30, 4:45. Didn't even really attempt, well, I tried to get some sleep, but every 10 to 15 minutes he'd either go to the toilet and do big poo plops, which you obviously have to change his nappy, cry or groan for comfort, need new dummy or water, or he's generated this cough. He just have a real bad coughing fit, so every 10 to 15 minutes I have to get out of bed and deal with that, so until about 4:45 in the morning, and I was going to just admit defeat and just have coffee, and then he just had like a longer period where he didn't have any interruptions, so I think I've got about 15-20 minutes sleep then, but other than that, that is it. So coffee, he's asleep again. Definitely going to push for a chest x-ray today because his cough is horrendous, which cough's always worrying me because that's exactly how this whole process started. But I need a nap, so hopefully when Kate gets here in a few hours I'll be able to just pull the curtain around and just put my headphones in and nap away. But until then we keep powering on through and try and keep him comfortable as possible. But yeah, tough night. Oh yeah, and the other thing, probably changed his bump last night about 25 times, and that is not an exaggeration. Genuinely not an exaggeration. I'm actually going to try and ask the nurse, see if she's got records of how many nappies it was, but it was ridiculous. It was like, you'd change it, and by the time you got back to bed, put your head on the pillow, you'd hear, so, there we go again. So they did suggest gut rest, and I think we're going to have to take a back step to ever be able to take a forward step. So I think it's going to be gut rest, and we're going to have to go back on TPN to give him that nutrition, which is, I think it's a good thing. There's no point trying to rush home anymore. We're missing it today, so let's just get him better. So I'm going to say gut rest, chest x-ray and TPN. And that just about rounds up our week 6 here at Great Ormond Street Hospital through bone marrow transplant on Fox Ward. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and remember,
live for today,
as tomorrow is never promised. Say bye, Teddy. Too tired. See you next week.